Hi everybody, I hope that you're having an amazing vacation. I just wanted to share with you an idea on this week's parasha, Parashat Va'era. In the opening words of the parasha, Hashem assures Bnei Yisrael that He's going to take them out of Mitzrayim and He's going to bring them to Eretz Yisrael. In Shemot Perek Vav Pasuk Chet it states, "Veheveti etchem el haaretz asher nasati et yadi latet ota leAvraham, liYitzchak uLiYaakov, v'natati ota morasha ani Hashem." I'm going to bring you to the land that I swore I'm going to give to Avraham, to Yitzchak, to Yaakov, and I'm going to give you that land as a morasha, as a heritage. I am Hashem. The term morasha in this pasuk is a little bit puzzling. What's the shorish of that word? Yud resh shin. And that shorish means to inherit. Why does the Torah choose to use the word morasha instead of the more common word Yerusha, which means inheritance? In fact, the only other time that the Torah uses the word morasha is in the very last parasha of Chumash in Vezot HaBeracha. In Devarim, Perek Lamed Gimel, Pasuk Dalet, it states, Torah tziva lanu Moshe, morasha kihilat Yaakov. In that pasuk, it is in Eretz Yisrael that's being promised as a morasha, but rather the Torah is a morasha. It's a heritage that's being given to Bnei Yisrael. What's the difference between the word morasha and Yerusha, and why does the Torah specifically choose to describe both the Torah and Eretz Yisrael as a morasha and not a Yerusha? I would like to point out that there are two main differences between the word morasha and the word Yerusha. Whereas a Yerusha is something that just transfers easily. A person dies, the inheritor receives the inheritance without having to do much effort. But a morasha, however, requires so much more. That mem at the beginning of the word is a grammatical sign of intensity. In order for an individual to possess the morasha, he must work for it. A Yerusha is something that he just receives from the previous generation without particular input, but a morasha requires his active involvement and his participation. This is very consistent with what we see in the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, in Perek Bet, Hatken atzmach lilmod Torah she'ena Yerusha lach. Yerusha is not going to be yours by inheritance. Rashi adds, just because your father was a Talmid Chacham does not guarantee that you're going to be a Talmid Chacham. Or like I would say, just because your parents did so well in Flatbush in this and this teacher's class doesn't mean that you're going to do so well in this Torah class. You need to exert your own efforts. The second point of distinction between the word morasha and Yerusha isn't how the gift is acquired, but rather in how it is dispersed. When a person gets a Yerusha, he could choose to do with it whatever he wants. He could squander it, he could waste it, he could sell it, he could destroy it, he could gift it. The choice is entirely his. But when it comes to a morasha, that isn't something that a person is just given and he can do with it what he wants. A morasha is something that he's given, he's entrusted with it. He has given it to guard it and to preserve it so that he can be morish it, so that he can hand it over and transmit it to the next generation. Both the Torah and Eretz Yisrael are not a Yerusha, they are a morasha. We need to exert extra effort and make sure that we preserve these two precious gifts to transmit them and pass them on to the next generation. And that's exactly what we do in the Yeshiva of Flatbush. We don't just take our notes after our Chumash test is over and rip them up and throw them in the garbage. We know that the Torah we learned is what ultimately we're going to pass on and give over to our children, and that's why we internalize it. And even on vacation, we're tuning in to watch videos from afar, because we know that the Torah is really the biggest gift that we have, one that we have to cherish, one that we have to invest in, and one that we ultimately have to pass over to our children.